Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Tanvi Taneja. Quick relook at the headlines we're tracking at this hour. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer has announced that UK-India Free Trade Agreement will be relaunched in the new year. This free trade agreement, as we know, is a treaty between two and more countries that aims to reduce or eliminate trade barriers. This was one of the key deliberations between the two nations on the sidelines of the G20 summit in Brazil yesterday. India-UK FTA talks began in January 2022 and the 14th round of UK-India FTA negotiations took place in March 2024 in New Delhi. And Pinak Ranjan Chakrabarti, former Secretary in India's Ministry of External Affairs, joins us on what G20 has achieved so far and the potential of UK-India Free Trade Agreement. Welcome, sir, to the program. First of all, how productive would you say the G20 has been so far in practical terms, in terms of actual outcomes or likely outcomes?
Well, I think it's a process rather than, when you get rather than expecting immediate results. For example, the climate finance, for example, which has been stuck at the COP29, and the G20 leaders would have to do something to get that fund moving, to all the pledges that have been made. Because climate change adaptation and mitigation efforts are very important, and we can see how climate change and various factors are affecting all countries, including India. So I think that is one of the major outcomes that we can expect, that the climate financing fund should be there. Apart from energy security and food security, which are the two major issues, poverty, hunger, etc., particularly in the global south, where I think the focus has been, and India has highlighted these problems earlier also in the New Delhi summit, and now at the Rio summit, that India has again pushed for these things. So we have to keep pushing and getting some movement on these issues. And hence the summits become important because the leaders are there to take those decisions.
Yeah, so speaking at the G20, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that India supports Brazil's initiative for a global alliance for hunger, against hunger and poverty. I beg your pardon. How are you viewing this alliance?
Well, it's a good effort in the sense that but what I would like to see the more, read between the lines and see the micro details as to what does it mean? Would it mean that there will be, food stocks kept all over the G20 countries, the vulnerable countries, so that people don't go hungry in times of famine or lack of food or, some kind of climate disaster. So I think we'll have to get into the details of these agreements if they emerge from this summit. And that would be a good thing for the global south, because they need it. Energy, for example, how do you ensure that they get access to proper energy at reasonable prices?
Okay, and let's also discuss about this very important bilateral that took place yesterday between India and the United Kingdom. What do you think have been the stumbling blocks so far in negotiating a free trade agreement between India and the UK?
Well, I think the main issues have been the Indian proposals that on allowing more Indians to visit, immigration issues, and of course it's not so much about tariff, because in the UK is in any case a major trading partner of India, and the UK's willingness or unwillingness to accommodate India's requests, and India on its part has not been willing to accommodate UK's requests on lowering of tariffs on some of their major exports to India, like whiskey and stuff like that, and that are very popular in India, as you know, and these are some of the issues. But I think the UK is now, I think, more willing to accommodate India's requests, and let us hope that this FTA will finally see the light of day.
Okay, UK Prime Minister Starmer said that trade talks with India will relaunch in the new year. What specific areas are the India-UK trade talks likely to cover, and what are going to be the likely goals being aimed at by both countries?
Well, the goal of any FTA is to increase trade so that it moves, goods and services move seamlessly. So I think that is those are the main issues. From India's side, services is very important. From their side, some goods, which they produce, which are popular in India, are important. So I think basically how to ease that flow will be the core issues there. And tariff will be something that India will have to look at, provided UK looks at India's requests on services and immigration and issues that are of interest to India.
Okay, Prime Minister Starmer and Prime Minister Modi also reaffirmed their commitment to strengthening the comprehensive strategic partnership, focusing on new and emerging technologies, research and innovation, and green finance. Do we have some more specifics here, and how India stands to gain from a partnership in these areas?
Well, UK is quite a leader in many of the technologies. If you remember during the COVID, the vaccine we used was created in the UK. That was then produced in India under a different name, under a collaboration. So UK has certain leadership, in certain areas of technology, which would be beneficial to India. And that is what we want to access. And technology transfer has always been one of the major issues that India has pursued with various countries, developed countries, obviously, because they have the technologies that sometimes we need for meeting our own demands. So that is one of the major issues in an FTA with UK.
And the need to progress on issues of migration and mobility. We heard that 2 new consulates are going to have been announced actually.
Yes, that's a good thing because UK has a lot of people of Indian origin and they need consular services. And those who live in the north, for example, have to go all the way to, I think, Birmingham or to Edinburgh. So I think Manchester is a very good idea because that area also has a lot of population of Indian origin and also Indians living there, working there, studying there. So I think that's a good idea. I would welcome that, and I think everybody would welcome it.
And Prime Minister Narendra Modi also noted the importance of addressing issues of economic offenders from India in the UK.
Yes.
A word on this.
That has been a long-standing issue, and we have been taking it up with them for a very long time. And they, of course, say it has to go through our legal process, etc. But then the legal processes are such that sometimes they seem to, deliberately impede the extradition or handing over of these economic offenders. I think the whole world knows that people with money who have committed economic offenses find London a very hospitable place to live in. And because they bring the money there, which goes into the British economy. And unfortunately, that factor sometimes, and plus the legal system, which can be convoluted and it goes on for years before any decision can be taken. And then again, there are appeals, and it's a very long process to extradite anybody from you.
Okay, so several bilaterals happened yesterday, sir. So India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar met CPC Politburo member, Foreign Minister Wang Yi of China on the sidelines of the G20 summit, and they exchanged views on the next steps in bilateral ties. What could these steps be from here on?
I think more normalization, particularly on the trade front, visa front, then airline, connectivity that was stopped. Then several other things. Both sides will have their own demands as to access, and China's, sometimes the controls that they have, restrictions on transfer of certain items that impede India's acquisition of certain, manufacturing, items. These are the whole range of issues that will be discussed. Slowly, I think. Gradually, step by step, these things will be taken up, and hopefully, once the border is fully settled, in the sense of, that we go back to the original, situation that was there before the Chinese decided to create this conflict. And so now it seems that that process is perhaps on, and when it is completed, the other processes of normalization will kick in.
Okay, quite a productive day. It has been on day one of the G20, and another productive day awaits us on day 2 of the G20 summit in Brazil. Thank you very much, Pinak Ranjan Chakrabarti ji, for putting all this into perspective.